live at 5. It is Thursday, April the 14th. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday to you too.
We have a very special guest today, don't we?
We do. Today we have Tim Federle, who co-wrote the book for Tuck Everlasting on Broadway. Also, his new young adult novel, The Great American Whatever, is out. But first we have some news to get through.
Lots of news, so we'll get through all that. Tony Award Honours recipients were announced today. This is like a special Tony Award for people who work in the Broadway community who would never actually be nominated for a competitive award. We have vocal coach Joan Lader, lawyer Seth Gelblum, and a costume shop owner Sally Ann Parsons. So huge congratulations to them. They're going to have a reception on June the 6th to honour them. And of course, the Tony Awards are on June the 12th, with James Corden killing it. So we don't really have to worry about that. Waitress cast recording is up, is it not?
Yeah, so they're recording it soon, and then it's going to be released digitally on June 10th, and then you can get the CD on July 1st. So in the meantime, you can always listen to Sarah Bareilles singing those songs, but then you'll get the official cast recording.
And also have a little look at my one-on-one with Nick Cordero. He's in Waitress playing the baddie, just because. Well, we have a long conversation about pleather. That's really why you want to be watching that one. Yes.
I love his dream casting too with Jesse. He wants to do Sweeney Todd, so they can always just like use the ties.
Look,
it works, right?
Nick, OMG, I love him. I know exactly. That is why I did the one-on-one for you guys. Okay.
No other reason.
No other reason. Okay. Do any of you want to be on Broadway? Well, now's your chance. Les Miserables is auctioning off being in the barricades or something. Go to Oz and Ends today. It's all there. Hello, Vancouver. Is Laura Osnes going to be at the Tonys? Quite possibly, although she doesn't have a show this year. The bandstand will be coming in next season, so who knows. Squigs, the lovely Squigs who does the Broadway Inks, always stunning. He's got these Broadway playing cards. Explain, you're American. You're American.
Like little collectible trading cards. When they like all of his sketches, his caricatures of people in the Broadway community.
This is something they have in baseball cards, is that right? I don't know anything about America. So it's like that.
It's like that. It's not like a game. I'm sure you can make one up.
Anyway, Squigs will be coming in at live at 5 soon, and he can explain it all to you. Broadway Bears has a date, June the 19th. That's where all these Broadway dancers strip off.
And so this year's theme, though, is it's on demand. So it's all about streaming and binge watching nudity.
Excellent. Well, that will raise lots of money for Broadway Cares as well. Lupita, she was on Live with Kelly and Michael today. That's also in Odds and Ends. London Q&A is up. Richard Kind, who's in Guys and Dolls. Jessie Tyler Ferguson was on Good Morning America this morning. I can't wait to see that show.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
It's really short, which makes me really happy.
Committed.
And it looks funny as well. I read the play, but they've updated it for Broadway, so that is good. And say the words. Laura Michelle Kelly's Show People is going to be going up fairly soon, so stay tuned to that because she's lovely. Who is hosting what?
Tony's?
James
Corden.
James
there
Corden.
You go. Thank you, Jeffrey.
We know that. Yes, we love you, Jeffrey. Thank you so much for being there and monitoring things that we might miss. We do appreciate it. And you are, you're an important part of Live at 5. All right.
So you're off.
I'm off.
You
Bye.
have an exciting thing to do.
Oh, yes. You're Frank Langella, opening night, doing that. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Imogen. And please welcome Tim Federle.
Hello. Oh, I love that. Hello, viewers and tweeters.
Hi, Ryan. How's it going?
Great. So happy to be here.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, you wrote a Broadway musical.
I did. Well, I co-wrote it.
with
Yes,
lots of
which is very exciting. We're in previews now at the Broadhurst.
Mm-hmm. And how are things going over there?
They're great. This Tuck Everlasting was a book that I actually read in middle school. It's one of those books that like you get assigned and you like Watership Down. I definitely skipped in middle school, but Tuck Everlasting I actually finished because it asks these kind of big questions about life and death in a way that's I think really compelling for young people. And then we have this amazing score that's awesome for older people. No, we're having a great time.
So this show has been in the works for some time now, like 6 or 7 years. Mm-hmm. You came onto it pretty recently. Mm-hmm. How did that come about for you?
Yeah, so Claudia Scheer and I are working on the book, and it is the music is by Chris Miller, lyrics by Nathan Tyson, and directed and choreographed by Casey Nicola. So many names. So all of these people have been working on it for years and years, and then the show went to Atlanta where it had this really wonderful run last winter. And when you're working, I always say like, if I work on a tweet for 20 minutes because it like keeps rolling over the character limit, I look at it and I'm like, I can't even tell if this is funny anymore. So I think part of it was just this idea that let's just get like a fresh set of eyes to come in and sort of help us like kick open the show a little bit. A lot of my role was about editing and asking questions and saying like, could we take this great song and move it into Act 2? But the DNA of Tuck Everlasting is always going to be Natalie Babbitt's original book.
So what would you say? Is there anything like I've noticed seeing the show previously? There are a lot of, let's say, Timisms in it. I think your sense of humor really comes through in it.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's also Claudia up there. I mean, yeah, part of it is that you always have to take anything. I feel this way because I also write books for young people, and I always feel like for me as a young person, as a formerly young person, what moved me the most was anybody who could make me laugh and then like tell me the truth, which is why Roald Dahl was my favorite author as a kid. Like I read not just James and the Giant Peach, but also like Danny the Champion of the World and all of these books where he wasn't afraid to shy away from dark stuff, but he did it in this way that was also really funny. And so, one of my tasks was to look at every page of the script and say like, how can we all work together on this to make sure it laughs as much as it sings? And cries. The last 10 minutes of the show, I have to say, like, they're so beautiful, and there's this, like, moment at the end that is so Casey Nicholaw delivers, and people really have to see it to believe it, because it's different than what they think of, like, a classic Casey Nicholaw musical.
Right. So Casey, like, has that sort of familiar story, the Broadway chorus boy turned director choreographer.
Yeah.
You kind of riff on that. Like, you, too, started off dancing on Broadway.
Not riff, like, never cast as alpha, but you can see why. Yeah, I feel like Casey and I are both sort of reformed chorus boys, but we sort of see Broadway through the same lens, which is how to keep a show moving fast enough to keep a modern audience's interest, but also deliver something that's, you hope becomes this kind of show that every theater in America is going to be doing in 5 years. So, yeah. Anyone who's ever danced in the background of a show knows that you sit in rehearsal and you watch it and you're like, I know how I could make this better. And so it's sort of a dream to come onto a Broadway project and be embraced and work with a team that was so willing, led by Beth Williams as our producer, a team that was so willing to kind of kick it open and try new stuff.
Right. So, started off... Yeah,
that sound machine is standing here, and that's like all I want to do. Like, what are things that can happen? Oh, of all the things I picked, boy, that's the story of my life.
Track one, so you can press that anytime you tell a joke.
Like, it's so great to be here. No, it actually is, though. That wasn't really a joke. More jokes like that at Tuck Everlasting at the Broadway. Sorry, back to you, Ryan.
Okay. So you started off Gypsy, Bernadette Peters, which we will definitely get to.
The best.
Greatest. Let's add Billy Elliot.
Yep.
Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid, in which I played a fish.
I've seen a real costume photo.
Yeah, and also like because Titus Burgess is always in the news these days and is so amazing and should be. He played Sebastian, and at the end of Under the Sea, Daniel Watts, who's an amazing like spoken word artist, he's also in I think Hamilton right now. Daniel and I would like heely over, like literally in like wearing roller skates but for adults, over, and we would pick up Titus and every single night be like if you're tired, don't lean on your back heel because you might literally wheel to your death. So we lift it. So like if anyone out there has a Little Mermaid souvenir program, you can see Titus Burgess on my shoulder. A very proud moment. He's like the nicest guy. He's the nicest lobster in the world. No, he's like the coolest guy.
So you go from that, and then you go to these books.
Yeah.
So we have Better Nate Than Ever, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're getting a lot of love for those, by the way, in the comments.
Oh, hi guys. Thank you so much, my readers.
So how do those two experiences, performing and then writing, inform the sort of like hybrid now of writing for a show?
That's a great question. People always, they ask, how do you go from dancing to writing? For me, like, I spent most of my middle school years in the principal's office. I was either not being picked for dodgeball or I was at the principal. And so I was always trying to find a way to use my sense of humor as a class clown to sort of, to my advantage, which didn't work in school. As a grown-up, it did. I feel like the things I was able to bring to Tuck that was informed by my writing for kids was, keep a sense of humor to keep things moving, and also explain things in a simple way without talking down to them. So I worked on Billy Elliot and trained all these kids in the show, including one of Tuck's ensemble members, Ben Cook. And I realized really early on that like the amazing thing about a middle school audience is they get every joke, but they're not jaded yet. And that is a really exciting place to write from. And so diving into Tuck Everlasting with a young girl, Winnie Foster, played by 11-year-old Sarah Charles Lewis in an extraordinary performance. we're giving her the entire show. It is a Billy Elliot-sized role for a young girl who plays every performance 8 shows a week, by the way. And I think I was able to say, gosh, how can we have her say things that are precocious and funny and knowing, but still through the lens of a girl who has lost her father in the show, spoiler alert, and has a lot of things to learn in meeting the Tucks. And so that's, I think, what I was able to bring. And then when you have someone like Andrew Keenan Bolger, himself a former child actor who is now writing books for kids, that combination of Andrew and Sarah is like magnetic. They're so brilliant in the show.
Yeah. Well, speaking of writing for a younger audience, like, what is that experience like now in previews, like witnessing this younger generation of theatergoers taking in your show?
It's a great question. I will say, the last time I was on stage was Little Mermaid. And so it's been a really long time since I've even just like been around that crowd of energy. And the first night one of the new scenes went into the show and this little sequence got like this huge laugh, I thought like, oh gosh, I might be hooked forever now, because that live thing that anyone out there who's like tweeting at us and watching this, that the reason we love theater so much is because like it only happens once. So like if you didn't get to see Newsies when it was on Broadway, like it sucks. It happened in the past. That's what's so exciting about seeing stuff while it's running. So it's thrilling to write for live audiences. And at the same time, what people might not realize is that the show opens April 26th, I think. But we, as of even today, like I came over from the Broadhurst Theater 5 blocks away, and we put in like 3 new scenes and did a cut and are trying something in the opening number. And the lighting designer who did Wicked is like relighting this thing with Terrence Mann coming around to Silo. There's so much stuff when you see the show that you might not even realize as an audience member was changed just that day. And that's what's exciting about being in previews.
So I want to talk about your newest book, Whatever.
Thanks, Ryan.
Right here. It's incredible. Please read it. So between these, I mean, you have all of these like younger readers reaching out to you. I mean, some of the stories that you share online are incredible. I mean, is there anything in particular that sticks out to you, like an interaction between someone who's read these books and...
Yeah, there's a couple. So when Better Nate Than Ever first came out, it's about this like 13-year-old theater geek, slightly autobiographical, who runs away from Pittsburgh, my hometown, to crash this audition for E.T. the Musical. And right away I started getting these emails actually from moms who would say like, my son is the only kid in his Utah ballet class and he's never read a character like this. Thank you for writing that. Great American Whatever, which is slightly older, it's kind of like Perks of Being a Wallflower age. It's got this gay protagonist who's 17 years old and like me as a young gay person, like isn't ashamed of it at all. In fact, it like really informs his sense of humor and personality, but he is just learning what it's like to be different about other things. He's obsessed with movies in the book, and he has his first relationship over the course of the book with this guy in college. And so, the interactions that stand out the most are when you hear from a reader who writes and says, I've never read a book like this, or I hate books, but my librarian put it in my hands and I like stayed up all night reading it. And the biggest difference between writing books and writing a Broadway show is that at a Broadway show, 1,500 people are reacting or not reacting all at once. Whereas, in a book, you hear from them one at a time. And so as an author, it's about either a live experience or like a later experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, this book is, like I said, it's inspired by experiences that you had, including one in particular that's very essential to the character.
Yeah, so I haven't figured out a way to talk about the Great American Whatever without making it sound like a downer, but it's inspired by, in a way, this experience in high school, which is that this girl in my school named Ellie Botts, who was a theater kid in Pittsburgh, was killed in a car accident outside of our school, and it changed my life the day that she died, because I was this cocky class clown, the one boy who could dance in school, who had this dream of like someday dancing on Broadway, but I was still lazy in that weird way. As a theater kid, when like you want to be a star, but you also don't want anyone to look at you because you've got zits and you're weird and you haven't grown into your height. So all of these things. And then the day Ellie died, it changed my life, and I realized that, life is not guaranteed. Speaking of like Tuck Everlasting themes. And so all these years later, when I wrote The Great American Whatever, it's from the perspective of a boy whose older sister dies in a car accident, and how it changes the way he tells stories, comes to stories, and his dreams to be a filmmaker. So I dedicated the book to Ellie. I heard from her older sister. It's been like a really amazing full circle experience.
So I want to go back to Tuck Everlasting, the show. What would you say were, looking back when you were that age, young audience, what were the shows that you were hooked on?
I was hooked on every show that I thought I would someday play the lead in. So I thought, like, I was hooked on Les Mis because I was like such a Valjean.
Okay.
Yeah, Eponine, totally. Truly Eponine. Until like my voice changed and I realized like there's no like dancer boys in Les Mis. So, but the tour of Cats coming back to Broadway. The tour of Cats that came through my hometown changed my life, because when I saw Cats and realized that there were like boys on stage wearing makeup and fur and getting paid for it, and like weren't getting beat up after the show because they were like actually like
People were clapping for that.
yeah, they were clapping for that. I realized that if I could just get through 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. every single day, then after school I could take dance class and I could survive. And so the shows that changed my life were the big mega musicals of the 80s, revealing my age. And then one of the first shows I saw on Broadway was Beauty and the Beast, starring Terrence Mann, our villain in Tuck Everlasting. So to write lines for Terrence is like a thrill, just because it's all so full circle.
Right.
And also it's all about being nice, though, as you go along. It's all about being nice, because there are people in Tuck Everlasting, from the wardrobe department to the box office to the director, to who I've known for almost 15 years now. And you never want to see somebody and go, ooh, like that's the girl I was mean to at the audition. So my number one piece of advice for anybody who wants to work in theater at all is like be nice along the way, because they are all going to cross paths with you someday.
So we're going to wrap up in a little bit. So if you have any questions, ask them now. Like I said, you were in Gypsy
Bernadette Peters at the Schuberts.
Fun stories about her that you should
Oh
share
my
with us?
gosh. I mean, the first fun story is just like, I was obsessed with Bernadette Peters. And so at the end of the run, I was starstruck by her for the entire run. And like 9 months into the show, my mom came to see it. And she'd seen opening night, but she came to see it, and I brought her backstage to meet Bernadette. And I was still so kind of like tongue-tied by her that when I introduced my mom, I was like, "Hi, Miss Peters, we're such fans." I literally said, "Hi, Miss Peters, we're such fans." I like shared the stage with her for a year. And so that felt like a story. And then the other really fun Bernadette moment was that for the first week of rehearsals, nobody sang. It was like Sam Mendes directed it, so it was very British. And we like acted the text. So it was like some people, like no talking. And then one weekend he was kind of like, let's do this, let's sing. And so Bernadette sang Some People, and we all freaked out and ran into the stairwell. And Chandra Lee Schwartz, who played Glinda on Broadway and Wicked, she and I were both in the chorus and like ran into the hallway and cried together. So that's my big Bernadette moment. P.S. I'm not sure if Bernadette like even knows who I am now.
Well, she's probably watching.
So hey Bernadette, love what you do for dogs. Yeah.
And okay, last question. What's it like working with Ben Cook? We've been
What's it
having
like?
a lot of Ben
What's it
Cook.
like working with? I know Ben Cook has like a lot of fans out there. Here's why it's great to work with Ben Cook, who is fantastic, and he's in our ensemble, and he's like a star dancer. It's great to work with Ben Cook because he takes the note whenever he gets a note from Casey Nicola, and he brings like all of that sunshine that you love in Ben with like on Instagram and Twitter. He like brings that every night onto the stage. Our entire ensemble does, actually. So I think what's great about working with Ben is the same thing that's great about seeing the show, which is that there's like a lot of love in Ben, and I think we have a lot of love in Tuck Everlasting.
I mean, like, you can't look away from him too.
Yeah, no, he's he's like, move
flipping
over,
all over
Ryan
the place.
Steele.
Okay, last question. Would you like to come to the West End? I believe we've also been getting questions about Great American Whatever being available in the UK.
Yeah, I know that Better Nate Than Ever is available in the UK on Amazon and local bookstores, as is my cocktail book, Tequila Mockingbird, which is strangely a bestseller in the UK because they really like to drink over there. Great American Whatever, I don't know. I know we could ship it overseas. I just don't know if it's available right now. Yeah.
Okay.
So check it out.
Well, hopefully
Google.
soon.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Come see us. Say hi to me online.
Catch Tuck Everlasting at the Broadhurst Theater, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.